So, you're new to Destiny or new to raiding. The raiding in Destiny is something that not a whole lot of people do because it is very intimidating. I speak from experience when I say it's intimidating. The toxicity level of LFGs, and you got to know what to do, or they leave, or they won't invite you, or you got to have certain guns. Like, I've built a clan, and I've made a lot of friends that don't share that mindset. I like to teach people, get people through their teach people raids and stuff like that, because Destiny is at its best when you have friends to play alongside it. Like, I played this game since Destiny 1, mostly solo with just the occasional friend, who had availability that we could party up and play a couple things. But raiding was always very intimidating because you don't know what to expect going into it. Nowadays, there's a lot more YouTube content or streams out there with raiding stuff in it. But and a lot of times they'll tell you like how to get encounters done and stuff like that. You don't need the best armor to be able to do raids. You don't need the best guns. What you do need is anybody that's willing to explain to you or give you tips and advice. Take that, especially from people that have done that exact raid or other raids, a lot of them or whatever, because more than likely they know exactly what to, they're kind of knowing what to look for, what works better. For example, if you go back and look at one of my other videos from the other day, we got stuck on an encounter. Now, granted, we were doing challenge mode, so it was that added a little bit more complexity to it, just taking longer than it normally does. But, however, being in a day one raid and stuff, you kind of got a feel for, how things are going to go when stuff is rough. I don't have the best armor or stats by any stretch of the imagination. However, I did want to go over some stuff that you might find interesting, you might find useful. Mobility stat on a hunter is basically like your lifeblood, because a hunter, especially if, I speak from the Void subclass a lot, because that's a lot of what I run on a hunter is Void or Stasis even. It might change with, when Arc 3.0 and Solar 3.0 come out and stuff like that, but I run a lot of Void, and I run a lot of Void for the simple, I like to dodge. And I didn't used to until they came out with this setup right here where you could change your button layout to custom. So the reason being is back then you had, in order to dodge, you had to double press a button. See, hunter dodge ability. This was double press, and I always had trouble hitting that button fast enough. So when I changed it to the same thing that Titans are by default and Warlocks are by default, which is the long press of the B button, I can dodge whenever I want just by, holding B for, like a second or something. So, that made it where I liked Hunters a lot better. Still, sometimes there is a part in the jumping puzzle that I do struggle with on the Hunter. Only one part. But I think Blast was looking at my jump yesterday and it was because of my fear of this one area because I've been stuck there before. That I was messing my jump up. I wasn't moving forward before as I was jumping, whatever. So if you're new to raiding, you're not gonna have all these masterworked armor pieces. You're probably gonna have, and okay, so here's a piece that I don't have masterwork. It's probably the only piece I have on me that's not masterwork, and it's because I just got it. This is another one. So, for example, if your stats on your on this part right here, if your stats or anything is like half stat being you only get a stat bump at tiers of 10. You probably know this, but I'm just going to say it. So, like the 65 down here does nothing. It's actually listed at right here. It shows down there that it's 6. That half, that 5, the 5 of 65 doesn't do anything. The game only registers it at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. At 100 it stops. You can't, and once you have a stat that hits 100, if you get 105, 110, does absolutely nothing for you. That being said, resilience. You hear a lot of people saying that it doesn't matter in a lot of videos, stuff like that. I still will rock at least 50 resilience in any raid encounter. I just won't do it any less. You don't have much shield capacity extra, but you have a baseline. You can take maybe one more shot from a non-sniper shot or something like that, or maybe you can survive that sniper one shot if you're not at 20 resilience or 10 or whatever. You know, like 30 is really low. Like 50s, in my opinion, is low. But you know, depending on what character you're on, what character you're playing on, as to what stat I'll load in or I'll try to buff up. Hunters are all about mobility, because you get your base. It tells you right there your base speed increase, and it also says increases your movement speed and maximum jump height. But before that, that's the most important thing you need to read. Reduces the cooldown of your class ability. So a while back, they and this is all different stuff from Destiny 1, so anybody who's returned to the game may not know this. The mobility stat on a hunter is tied in to your dodge, how fast you get your dodge, how fast that cooldown is. And so I try to I used to rock that at 100 all the time, but I don't have great armor right now. I know it may look like it because it's all masterwork, but that's just because when you masterwork a piece of armor, you see the gold lines there, the +2 in every column. That's why I masterwork so much armor, because it literally gives you 12 bonus points on top of your armor. It will make the 85 armor piece right there. You take away probably 10 from that mobility stat. Yeah, 10 here. You take away 10 from there, and that would make that piece of 75. You take away 12 from 75, and that would be a 63 armor piece. That's around the minimum. I will not masterwork anything unless it's a 60. at least a 60 stat roll, but usually I want the stats to be kind of balanced, or kind of, a variety of in columns. Strength I should care about, but I don't, because it's just a smoke bomb on a hunter, and it doesn't. I don't really put into strength in any of my characters. I'm by no means an expert, but I do have experience with this stuff. And that's why I'm bringing it to people's attention. If you're going to try to raid, and you have empty armor pieces, or you're putting stuff in your arms or whatever for reloading, reloading can be beneficial. However, staying alive is the most beneficial in a raid. Because in raid, you have raid tokens. You get 1 token per player. So that means a total of 6 deaths amongst an encounter, and that's it. Like, if you die more than that, the game has a timer, and it will wipe you if you don't get it done before the timer's up. Anybody that's in my clan kind of should know this stuff, I think. I've talked to most people in there about it, but in hindsight of calling people out on the spot, because I feel like sometimes people might get embarrassed, so I'm trying to do this video instead, where they can watch it in private, take notes. So on a hunter is the one character I'll run Powerful Friends. It's a Charged with Light mod, and the reason for that is that plus 20 in mobility. Because all it takes is an arc resist mod here, and I always run it on my chest piece, because if you run an arc armor mod, which this is, you see the little arc symbol up there, you run it in combination with Powerful Friends, boom, it activates a secondary perk and gives you plus 20 mobility. Now, sometimes I feel like the stat maxes is 42, and like you could actually have more points there than 42. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, see how I ran this? I had this at plus 3. I had a plus 10 there. So let's see. But even though the thing registered 42 there, or on this screen, said plus 42, but see, my mobility was 66 without it. So when you put this back on there, even though that thing maxes out at 42, it's not. It still technically lets you put the extra 5 in there for the extra, for that next tier in mobility. Mobility tier 7 versus mobility tier 6. See? 66, and I went down a tier. So these are just useful things to know on a Titan. Titan, you get your barricade back faster off your resilience stat. Again, right here. Reduces the cooldown of your class ability. So, now 62 is not great. It's not like gigantically high. A lot of it could be because I'm running this Powerful Friends on this Curess of the Falling Star. I like a little mobility on my Titan when I'm Thunder Crashing, but the thing about it is when you become charged with light, nearby allies become charged with light as well. Charged with light got a big nerf a while back. Actually, with Witch Queen. Used to, there was a mod that protected light. Let's see if I still have it. Yeah, I still have it on a couple armor pieces because I haven't played with them. But basically, protected light used to be how you'd clutch and try to stay alive. If you were charged with light, you would take less damage from stuff shooting you. Anyway, so this is kind of what I run on my Titan right now. Again, these stats are not the end all be all, but if your stats over here, if any of these mobility, unless you're on a hunter, doesn't, it's only going to affect your jump speed, your jump height, and your movement speed. So you play with what you feel comfortable with. However, this stat right here, resilience, and this one is equally as important, recovery. So recovery that's top dog on warlocks, because that's how they get their class ability back, their rift. However, resilience and recovery, I feel like go hand in hand, because like it's how many shots you can take, how much damage you can take from an explosion or stuff like that. And recovery is the amount of time that it takes for you to start getting your health back. There are ways to go about getting your health back faster. These better already. You'll see I'll run it a lot, because it did kind of get nerfed in with Witch Queen, because they nerfed how orbs of light are made. So there's not nearly as many orbs of light on the ground anymore as there used to be. However, I still will run that mod just for the off chance that if I'm injured, if I can slide into an orb of light or something like that to try to get me that little health bump when I did that, that might be the difference that keeps me alive or dead. And in a raid, the more you can stay alive, the better off the whole raid will go. Because even if you don't understand mechanics, like with enough times you'll get it. However, staying alive and getting as far as you can, and it lets that mechanic kind of sink in a little bit. And with practice, anybody can do anything. I promise you. Raids are about finding people that are going to be patient with you while you learn. You want to look at some videos to try to give you a few tips prior to it. That's key. That way you're not wasting like 5 other people's time when you're trying to learn something. If you're unlucky like me and you get into groups, or like I've been in groups before that they just fly through everything and they don't really explain it. There are times where that's better, where you don't need to know exactly everything that's going on, and you just kind of get a feel for the flow of an encounter. Like, that will help you overall, because it gives you something to reflect on. But at the same point, there are encounters where there is no way around it. You're gonna have to step up and learn something to be able to do it. So the point of all this video was just to tell people to pay attention to your stats over here, and if you don't have mods on your armor, you know, it doesn't take much. You know, you can put 1 point in it and put a 5 resilience in it, and that'll bump it up to the next tier. You know, I was just at 6 resilience. Now I'm at 7 resilience. So, you know, just try to play around with that and see what you can come up with, and see if and that should make your raids, people get less frustrated, think they won't take as long. And the final note I want to add on learning how to do raids and stuff is when people give you advice on guns to use, you don't necessarily have to use everything they suggest, but keep in mind of the thing that they're trying to seek out. For example, the other day we were stuck on an encounter, and ad clear was what was really holding everything back doing the challenge. because there's just too many ads around shooting the objective. And so, like, when I tell people you need guns that are going to kill more than one ad at a time, like, I literally meant it. Like, you know, an auto rifle is fine and all, and I love auto rifles, but it's going to kill one ad at a time. Something like this with reservoir bursts, you know, that would kill, you know, maybe up to 3 or 4 ads at a time. And when you're dealing with smaller ads that you can kill multiples at the same time, Tiku's Divination is good. It's an exotic bow. Trinity Ghoul is good. And a lot of these are like world drops now, or they gave them out for free with the season pack, and now you can buy them in the tower, I think, if you have that expansion. That's the caveat. So just communicate when people are trying to offer you advice on what to use, like, just say, well, I might not, or, you know, if you don't have it, or you know you don't have it, you can go to collections and look, to see if there's an exotic that they're asking for, if you have it unlocked or not. And if you don't, then, you know, just communicate that. However, if the people are nice, they're going to give you legendary weapon alternatives to use that you're not bound to an exotic. And a lot of the legendary stuff can be acquired just through normal campaign gameplay and stuff like that. So you should have some kind of options to your advantage, but don't just shut them out. Like, don't just say, okay, well, I'm using this, and that's it. Because what you're doing is you're making that encounter take longer, not like solely because of you, because normally there's more than one person that's going to hold an encounter up. Normally you can pull an encounter with one bad apple, or somebody not carrying their weight. Normally you can get it done with 1 or 2 people, like, slacking a little bit, but some encounters, just the way they're designed, that's not necessarily true. But the point here wasn't to make anybody feel bad or to apply blame to anybody. It was to give people the insight that they need, that they might not understand, I'm thinking that people just are not aware of it because they're not used to the game. And it's harder to come across, it's harder to say these things in a group setting without people chuckling, or people, you know, taking offense, or, you know, people like, oh my God, everybody knows that, or, you know, something like that. Like, at least a video gives you the chance to watch it in private. You can, you know, look at your own stuff on your own time. You're not holding up 5 other people in a raid while you're trying to figure stuff out. And another stat I want to call attention to, if you're on Void this season, because of Void grenades and stuff like that, like, that grenade stat is pretty key. You notice, like, it is my weakest stat on this character, but as I'm using, that's what part of the reason with this exotic right here is because as I'm using one ability, like barricade or something, it'll cause my other stuff to charge up faster. So it works okay. Obviously, it'd be better if it was higher, but in the grand scheme of things, I make it work. And with a little bit of practice, everybody will make stuff work that other people might not feel that are optimal. It's about you being comfortable and being able to do what is asked of you. When I'm raiding personally, I try not to ask anybody to do anything that they're not comfortable with. If I have to, then we're just going to sit there and keep dying. until they get comfortable with it, basically. And most of the people I raid with know this. Like, there's a good group of people here that I play with now. I need to start getting out there. I kind of wish that the core group people I had with, that none of us had jobs or had stuff to do, and we just go around on LFG all day and help people. But in reality, like, LFG can be a toxic cesspool. You get people on there that have noise in their microphones, that have all kinds of just background noise going on and stuff. Like, you can't hear it right now, but I have a radio going in the background, and you can't hear it over. It baffles me, but like, it's just the settings that I have on my microphone and stuff. It picks it up as like noise, so it doesn't allow it to come through the broadcast or the game chat that I'm using and stuff like that. And with crossplay coming out, game chat has become a necessity to be able to raid with most of the people in my clan, because we're all on different platforms. Some people are on PC, some are on Xbox, some are on PlayStation. Nobody is any better than anybody else, although the experience is smoother on a PC that has decent frame rates. But yeah, that's a whole nother video talking about the frame rates on PC. I have thousands of dollars invested in my PC, and like, it just kills you that it just sits here at 75 frames per second until I move, something, and then it'll jump up. And like, why won't it just stay at 165 where I have it set? Whatever. But it is what it is. But that's some tips. These stats don't really cost you that much to invest in. You should have the mods for these. I want to say that those mods come from Banshee. Let's see. So, combat style, no, that's not it. So, alright, so let's see where it says. Open legendary engrams and earn faction rank up packages. So, these it should give you by default just by playing the game on campaign. And, the miners are good because they only cost like 1 or 2 points, and they'll give you half the stat. They'll give you 5 points of the stat. Whereas see, that's a minor recovery. That was 2 points. This one takes 4 points to activate. So recovery costs a lot of points. And you don't necessarily have to have everything masterwork to be able to use them. But I just wanted to call attention to it because I've seen some people in raids that have had like 20 or 30 resilience, and they just get sneezed on and they die. And some of that could be your playstyle. If you're running out there in a raid and you're just getting in things' face, I understand maybe you're a Titan and you like punching things, but like, unless you have a way to heal when you punch, like, you better get that kill if you want that heal. But like, raids are a team experience. They are the most fun in the game with cooperative people. You can find cooperative people on LFG. It's just a lot harder to come across because usually people that have good groups of people typically will use those good groups of people versus the lottery of LFG trying to find somebody on LFG that's actually agreeable and it's actually not, is not yelling and screaming in the mic, or not, only done a raid one time and comes in trying to tell everybody else what to do. Like, come on, man. Like, if you're gonna join other people's LFG posts, then just be prepared to follow suit for whatever they're telling you to do, unless they ask you. If they ask you, then by all means, you take over, I guess, if they need you to. But otherwise, man, it's just about respect. Like, just try to respect each other. Try to limit the amount of toxic exposure that people have to this game. This is a great game. I am very supportive of Bungie, but the level of toxicity that's been in this game has been this way from the word go. I don't feel like it's gotten any better. I don't know that it's gotten any worse either, but I've tried to stay away from LFG for the most part because of bad experiences I've had on it, and it leaves you battle scarred, kind of like I don't know. PTSD is such a strong word, but it like your brain, when you say LFG to me, like my brain immediately cringes, like, just because, and it's a knee-jerk reaction, just because you meet some mean people on LFG, but I've met some great people on LFG. For example, old Adverse, wherever he is, there he is. So Adverse, I met him off LFG, and his buddy, met him, through Adverse, running Grandmasters and stuff. So you can't, and this guy here, Bolt Blast, that I've heard that he's a good dude, that they met on, my couple of clan people met on LFG the other day. So, like, it does happen. Like, you can meet nice people. It's just, it seems like they're few and far between, unfortunately. So, anyways, that's going to wrap the video up for today. If you have any questions, my Discord should be my gamer tag, like the Rumblebee2144. Feel free to pop in there. It might be invite only. I'll look at changing that. But you can leave comments on the video, and or you can tune in to any time I'm streaming and ask your question in chat. I try to keep up. I'm generally really nice and easy to get along with, unless there's some external stuff going on, or unless the people that I'm around, it's just that if they're putting off toxic vibes, it's gonna put me in a bad mood. But usually I keep that stuff limited. I shut it down as quick as it comes in, usually, just because I try to keep the experience good for those that are around me. So, anyways, y'all have a great one, and we'll talk to you later on.